Hey guys, I really hope that I get better at filming these episodes. So I've had to refilm this multiple times, but we're locking in. This will be the best cut ever. Muscle building by obviously my website, my business, Empirical Fitness. Let's get into it. Ooh, that photo is still warped. Oh well. All right, guys. So about me, I'm a strength conditioning coach. My name's John. I'm certified as a personal trainer, certified in weightlifting, nutrition, and a whole bunch of other things that aren't even like listed here. That is what it is. If you want to find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, so on and so forth, please go give me a follow if and when you get that opportunity. Today, I'm going to talk about building muscle, what that looks like. I'm going to start with the don'ts. So here I pulled out some guidelines and directions from the Essentials of Strength Conditioning, which is like the gold standard when it comes to programming and information when it comes to sports performance. So normally, like you look at sports performance and trickle down like other information from there or kind of go from there. And so that's why I chose to use this. So they have recommendations for hypertrophy. And if you notice the rep scheme is like rested from like 30 seconds to like a minute and a half. That is not what I recommend for hypertrophy as far as your rest period is concerned. Is it possible to build muscle using this strategy? Yes, of course, with enough time. If you're a new lifter, most definitely. However, I don't recommend this as far as like optimal conditions. Are athlete recommendations different than like Gen Pop recommendations? The answer to that is no. As far as building muscle is concerned, and what we'll be talking about here, if you're a couch warrior or if you're an elite athlete, building muscle in this context that we're going to talk about and provide in this podcast episode will be the same. Okay, building muscle, guys. I've attached like three studies here. There's there's a multitude of things you can focus on, but I want to kind of keep it simple. Lifting should be done in close proximity to failure if you're trying to build muscle. Now, some people may argue going absolute failure or proximity to failure. The studies that I cited here actually talk about going like stopping like shy of like a rep or like 3 reps to failure. Kind of is what it is. But as long as you're in proximity to failure, you'll be in a good place. Percent of your working rep max will change or will vary between like your training range, your rep scheme, the range of motion that you're using. Some people like will squat like full range of motion. Some people like to do partial reps and raw reps and ranges, so on and so forth. So that'll vary. How can I tell if I'm close to failure during a set? It'll be really hard. This is the best way I can say it. If you guys have seen, if you've ever seen a video where you or had a friend and you're spotting able to bench press and like his last rep, and he's like really trying to grind it out. That is what your last rep of your set should look like, or something around that nature, because that is going to be the most mechanical tension being built, and that's going to stimulate the most amount of hypertrophy. Is there an optimal rep range? To me, yes. Some people will say it's 5 to 8. Some people say it's 6 to 10. I'm a 5 to 8 kind of guy. I notice when I kind of go towards like above 8, I get an aerobic response for my lifting set. An aerobic response is essentially like during the set, you start breathing really, really hard. So if I unrack heavy barbell back squats and I'm doing 315 for three, and I'm gonna go post set like I'm going to be breathing really hard. And that's an aerobic response. An aerobic response isn't bad if you're looking for that or if you're not worried about that. But for people who are talking about, I just want to build muscle and I don't want to worry about any kind of aerobic responses or accrue extra fatigue, then once again, I would stay within like the 5 to 8 rep range. There has been a study that shows that you can do rep schemes between 3 and 30 and still get results as long as they're close to failure. So like you can technically get hypertrophic results, build muscle with any rep scheme between 3 to failure as long as or 3 to 30 as long as sets are taken to failure. And once again, I recommend like being in proximity to failure. Absolute failure is pretty rough to experience. How much rest should you have in between each set? I talked about earlier in the previous slide, as recommend 90 seconds. I think that's way too short. I highly recommend resting until completely recovered if you can. Now, that might be a long time depending on like how long you have time to be in the gym. So like in your routine, like 2, 3, maximum 5 minutes before like getting into your next set. And that's just because you're training closer to failure. Anytime you do work that is closer to failure, you need more time to recover. That's just the way of the world. Free weights versus machines. So there's been like this big debate, like whether or not free weights versus machines can help you get these gains. The goal is once again mechanical tension and getting close to failure. If you're new to the gym and you've never lifted weights before, free weights require coordination, skill, and experience that takes time to get good at, where machines don't. You can hop on leg extensions or leg presses and get big quads like today, or start building big quads today, versus learning how to barbell back squat like safely and effectively to like a deep range of motion without any like issues at your hips, knees, or ankles. That can take some time. So if you're new to the gym, I recommend starting on machines and maybe your accessories be free weight as you learn to move heavy weight and do things. If you're someone who's been a lifter for a long amount of time and you focus on free weights, it wouldn't be bad to throw in some machines as the line of pull and tension is like the same through the whole range of motion. So it's like a different vibe and feel. But you can get results with either and be happy with either results, right? But don't harbor a grudge towards either method. Beginner versus advanced lifter. To be clear, lifting principles apply across all population genders, whether you're elite to a weekend warrior, uh, and you're trying to build muscle. I want you training close to failure. That's it, and resting a long time in between set, preferably till you're almost completely recovered. Muscle building becomes more difficult over time, so your advanced lifters are going to have a much more difficult time trying to build muscle than your newbies. Newbie gains are immaculate. There really no other way to say that. Like I miss being able to build muscle like easily. But yeah, guys, once again, lifting principles apply across all genders, all populations. You need to be accruing mechanical tension and lifting in proximity to failure in order to build that muscle. Ooh, three components to building muscle. Mechanical tension, progressive overload, and recovery. So mechanical tension, once again, that's lifting in proximity to failure when you're lifting the weight and then you see the speed of the lift start to slow down, but you're still lifting. That's the proximity failure that we're talking about. That's what we're looking for as far as mechanical tension. Progressive overload, that essentially means that your workouts need to become more difficult over time to keep stimulating muscle growth and increase muscle growth and size. If it's week one and you bench 135 for 3 sets of 8 in the gym, and you keep doing that, and then it's 3 months later and you're still benching 135 for 3 sets of 8 in the gym, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. Your workouts, the weights you lift, um, need to become more difficult over time in order to keep stimulating muscle building because your body uh, does not like to build muscle. It's a very arduous process, and you to keep and maintain large amounts of muscle, it's like difficult, which is why uh, you need to progressively overload. Lastly, guys, you need to recover. Sleep is vital for building muscle. If you're not sleeping enough, you're going to be off. You can't build from an unstable base. So make sure you're getting sleep. I recommend getting 8 hours, which means for me, I'm in bed for 8.5 hours because you have the time it takes to fall asleep, which I think is like 10 to 15 minutes for most people. And then you wake up during the middle of the night sometimes, up to like 10 to 12 minutes, sometimes 15 for most people, just in increments like during or like a REM cycle or something like that. So 8.5 hours in bed, 8 hours sleep. Highly recommend. Closing notes. Just a recap of what we talked about thus far, team. When trying to build muscle, it is best to be in close proximity to failure. Machines are just as effective as those free weights. Training standards for building muscle apply across all populations. And lastly, those three components that you need in order to chase the gains: mechanical tension, progressive overload, and recovery. My contact information, guys, my email is john@empiricalfitnessgym.com, social media, quadfather_77, and the Facebook group, nerds with facebook.com/groups/nerds with weights, whatever. If you're a nerd and you like nerd stuff, you like to talk about anime and fitness and things of that nature, like come hang out with us in that Facebook group. I usually go live once a week and we talk about things like, oh, what we talked about last week. Oh, this past week we talked about what the ideal body fat percentage was for men as viewed by women, and it was pretty cool. And I'll talk about my Facebook group. If you want to know what that number is, request to join. Hope to see you in there. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, as this is obviously the first one. I still haven't decided on a name yet, and it could be like the Questing with Quadfather podcast. It could be the Empirical Fitness podcast. I'm open to recommendations, suggestions, and so on and so forth. So definitely throw it in the comments if you have one. But yeah, guys, thank you for joining me today and for listening to tuning in this podcast. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I hope to have a professional of some kind next week, or maybe just like a guest. But like I said, I kind of enjoy podcasting because like you get to meet other professionals, you get to meet, interact with more people, and just get to spread awareness, information, and hopefully positive vibes throughout the universe. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoy this podcast. Hopefully, it's the first of many, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Later.